Funny friends, my funny friends, my funky friends now. My funny friends, my funny friends, my funky friends now.
Starring Drew Harrison and Will Abeles.
Welcome back to another episode of My Funny Friends, all live in North Carolina. Welcome back to My Funny Friends. We're happy to be here. We have a fantastic guest. I am Will Abeles, and I'm here with my confidant, my friend, and also my fan in a weird way. I'm your fan too. I don't know. I'm trying to whatever. Drew Harrison.
I knew you were gonna make it weird. I knew you were gonna make it
I wanted to I kind of wanted to come in this positivity.
You started off so well,
and you were like, "You're my."
I was like, "Yeah, all right."
You're my fan too. Yeah, I don't know.
For some weird reason, my mind went straight to swim fan. Have you seen that messed up movie?
No, but I know about it. Yeah,
where he's a swimmer and she basically tries to kill him. She likes him so much. That's where my mind went. So that's why I got a little weirded out. So,
we have been spending way too much time together. Is what. Yeah. That's the bottom line of that one.
Yeah.
Man, you try and do something nice. But also, this is sort of on you for letting me start the podcast off.
That's fair. I knew, but in true Will Abeles fashion, you turned it back to you. You were like, this guy, he's also a fan of mine.
We should just change the podcast to Will Abeles has funny friends, but it's always your friends from North Carolina.
Just still in my friends.
And that's slowly they realize I don't have any friends in comedy. It's a nightmare to be around.
I'm just saying, more people have been booking guests. Okay, I'm right. Okay, I'm right.
It's, well, maybe if people opened up their message requests on Instagram more often, then I could also be booking comics that were allegedly
I was like,
friends.
That's not towards me. That's to somebody else.
Yeah, comics that I thought were friends back in New York, and I find out they have unfollowed me on Instagram at this point.
We don't have to follow him. He's gone. Well, I'm excited about our guest this week. Me and him were on kind of like the same trajectory there for a little bit. Like we were side by side, seeing each other at the showcases and the competitions, and just he was killing it in Raleigh. I was trying to kill it in Wilmington. He was on top of Raleigh when I was on top of Wilmington, so we're kind of dueling there for a little bit. But it's Mark Brady. Mark, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Thank you guys for having me on. This is awesome.
Of course, our first repeat guest. You were in the early years. When I was trying to figure out what this podcast was about.
Talk about those years. We don't talk about those.
Okay.
The BW before Will.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It was you and Mazzani.
That's right. Yeah.
About the Raleigh days.
Oh God.
But so I mean, I obviously didn't scare you off. So thanks for coming back. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Got the new hairdo. I like it. You
got
rid of cut the locks off.
Fresh cut today. Yeah.
Look at this. Everyone watching on YouTube, or even if you're listening on whatever platform,
they can hear it. They can hear my hair from there.
When he does the little
they can feel it.
It's gone.
It doesn't move. It doesn't move. Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfectly. It's perfect.
Now, do you have it down to style, or did you get the person that cut it show you how to do it, or is this like you know what you're doing? Like, what? Can you repeat this look?
I don't think so. Every time I walk out of getting my haircut, I'm like, this is it. And then I get home and take a shower, and it never happens the same way.
It never comes back. It never comes back.
Why?
Right?
Why doesn't it ever go back the same way? It's
they have
crazy.
Some special mousse that they use at the actual haircutting place.
I have a theory. I was watching my barber the last time I got a haircut, which I'm probably not getting another haircut for 6 months because I'm too poor. But
they're expensive.
The last time I got a haircut, I was thinking about how intimately he was putting the product through my hair and just really feeling it on my scalp and being like, oh, this guy knows what. So I think I'm not as intimate with my own hands on my head. Therefore, I cannot recapture the magnificent barber hairstyle.
Yeah, they really take their time and they massage stuff in, and they're they get
when they get the two hands going at the
Yeah.
same time,
little Zoolander licking their fingers, and you're like, what is that product? You're like, yeah. My spit is pomade. Getcha.
See, I go to the places where they don't care. At the end, they're like, all right, $16. You're like, okay, cool.
No.
Yeah.
One reason I'm always broke is because I'm like, no, I'll spend $40 on the haircut.
Same.
s-
I'm the same.
Sports clips.
It's hard to find, like, if someone messes up my hair, I cannot go back. I almost don't go back to the whole establishment. I'm like, your guys are done.
Yeah.
So I have to drive somewhere else.
Yeah.
I just can't.
I try and take a business card. I always try and take a business card if it goes well, because I'm like, I want this guy and no one else ever again.
You just hand them when you go back in. Who do you want? And you're like,
I want
this guy.
I want the man.
Yeah, I've never had a man cut my hair good, and also I prefer a woman to cut my hair.
I went like 7 women cutting my hair at once.
Right. Yeah, because I want her to
It's
think
all
that
about
this is good.
efficiency. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get their quadrants, you know?
Right.
Well, Mark, we always like to start it off with what year and where. It's kind of like our old school instant messenger ASL, you know?
Okay, great.
What year and where did you start?
First time on stage?
Yeah.
All right. First time on stage, I was living in Wilmington, North Carolina. It was 2006, and I have drove to a different city.
That's before anything Wilmington comedy was.
Right. I drove to Myrtle Beach. I drove for almost an hour.
Mecca. The Mecca.
Yeah, I mean, Myrtle Beach comes up so often on this podcast. It's insane.
Well, New York, LA, Myrtle Beach. That's
that's what everyone
top
says.
3. Yeah.
2006, it was on top of the comedy world.
I had to drive out of town in case someone I knew was there. That's how paranoid I was about people seeing me.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I had to leave town to start a comedy.
And you were like, I better go to Myrtle Beach. I heard they're really kind there and welcoming for new stand-up comics.
They'll be understanding.
Right. Yeah. So yeah.
What place in Myrtle Beach?
Comedy Cabana.
Yeah.
That's still around?
There's only 2.
Yeah. It's still around.
It's been passed around from generation to generation.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Actually,
Real family friendly environment.
Yeah. So they actually just reached out to me for Abeles, so they don't know that. It's kind of weird because I went back there. I think it was like 3 years ago to do a week, because they book it differently. They book you for the whole week, and man, it's like an 80s house in there. Like they don't change anything.
No.
Yeah,
I was in with the now closed Carolina Comedy Club. So whenever I went to Myrtle Beach, I was at that one. I did too many drug jokes for the Cabana. I was told.
Oh,
look at you, just like getting banned from every club, and I'm supposed to keep pretending like you're a nice guy.
Yeah,
I
man.
don't like my stuff, man.
Hey, Will, do you want to start a podcast with me?
Yeah. Do you want to call it? You want to call it My Funny Friends?
I've already got all the stuff set up. Y'all can just have it. You
So-
don't need that cover art.
You know what? I'll. Yeah.
Pay someone.
In my head, I was like, yeah, I won't pay anybody. So you got on stage the first time in 2006. Sounds like you might not have gotten back on stage.
I was about to say, how
After
did
that.
it go? How
Yeah,
was
like, what
that?
was it like?
How was that Myrtle Beach open mic?
First time went so good.
Oh,
First time went so good. They literally, the manager was like, come back next week at the other open
How did
mic.
you prepare for it? Did you write for a little bit? Did you have
I
some things like
I wrote for a little bit, and I also didn't know how like comedy worked, because there was, I mean, I hate to show my age. Obviously at that time, there's no podcast. People aren't on YouTube, aren't talking about it. YouTube wasn't a thing that you go to find out things.
it wasn't instructional, you know?
Right.
Yeah, it was like Dane Cook and no one else back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
yeah,
really
yeah.
though, it really was.
Yeah. So it was, it went good. The guy told me to come back next week. I had some other guy give me his card, and he goes, I'm trying to start a comedy show down the road. Why don't you be a part of it? And I was like, wow, this is so easy. I mean, it was so crazy. The amount of like immediate of like, oh, this is all I have to do. And now like, where's
I just had to show up. Yeah.
I'm here. Where's my stuff?
Yeah.
And here's also $1,000 and a record deal. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I go back next week, and there's less people in the crowd. There's probably half the amount of people and it goes, I do the same stuff and it goes even better. And I go, wow.
Take your bow, like thank you.
Right.
You look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, where did this glow come from?
Dude, I was like, okay, well, I guess I gotta do new jokes. Like, because I was like, those are already golden.
Those are done. I can put those on the shelf.
You retire the jokes after your second time.
Because I just didn't know how to like. I don't even know what my process was, but like the third time I come back, and I bomb so hard with my new material.
Yeah,
the other two was just like, oh, that's already on the album, you know?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I couldn't tell you one of those jokes. I had no idea.
That's hilarious.
Okay.
So I bombed so hard, eat it so bad that I didn't start back doing stand-up. So that was 2006, and I quit until 2014.
So you got your HBO special.
That's a bomb.
That
is a bomb and a half. I quit.
Yeah, man.
And you walked away for 8 years.
Hard. Yeah.
Real Jordan of you. You know.
Yeah. You went to go play baseball for a couple
I went to go play baseball. I tried other things and came back.
Nice.
Wow. Okay. So what made you want to come back? What made you go, you know what?
You were too happy, right?
Yeah.
Too happy in life.
I was like, God, I want to feel what is it? You know, I want to feel hurt again.
There's too much love in my heart. I need to feel pain.
So this is a bad and good story, but like,
Favorites.
Yeah. One of I just said like, it was all about just like making family laugh, friends laugh. You know how we do when we start out, you know, it's just like, then someone says that, but it says try stand up. So anyway, during my first retirement, my brothers would encourage me like, oh man, you should try to do stand up again. But my one brother in particular, Eric, we would talk all the time, and he would really be like, man, you gotta try stand up again. You gotta get back out there. And I was like,
oh, that's so supportive.
Yeah. And I was literally like, he would be like, you got to do it again. I go, no, man, you don't understand. Like pushing it away and be like, you don't get it, you know?
And the best part is you did it 3 times.
Yeah.
And just that was scarring enough to be like,
highs
you
and
really
lows,
don't
though.
understand what this feels like. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like just a war-torn vet. Like, you don't even know, man.
Yeah. Especially going from like, oh, this is easy, I'm literally born to do this, to the point, and then like the polar opposite of just like, I will never go inside another comedy club, even to watch a show.
I don't even want to know comedy exists.
Yeah.
You like your whole Netflix is like just like you have no comedy on it at all. Like you're not even watching like Step Brothers. You're like, no laughs in this household ever again.
Right. Yeah. So he keeps encouraging me. We have talks and stuff. And then he passed away in May 2014. And I went back on stage 3 months later. You know, I was just thinking about it, and I was like, wow,
That's
you
awesome,
just,
man.
you know, keep encouraging me. And I go, kind of like a surreal moment. I was like, you know, that bomb didn't hurt at all. Like I almost felt like bulletproof. I was like, what are you guys going to do? Not think I'm funny? I was like, I just went through the worst thing that's ever happened in my life. And
Can't
so,
touch me now.
Yeah, exactly. So I went back up, and I was like, I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna see what happens. I'm not just gonna do it another 3 times and bomb and then get the fuck out and never go up there. But yeah, and I had so much stage fright that I went to the doctor to get Xanax to go back on stage.
This is amazing dedication.
Oh, dude, it was like I have to do this to try, and then I was like, but my stage fright is just so insane. And I went to a couple open mics, and it's great if you want to be a comic, look at open mics, because then you go, oh, wow, that guy's good, or you can be inspired. And then you can also be like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah. And it's every night too. It's not like one open. It's like any open mic you go to, it's the just complete polar opposite.
Yeah. That's why, like, when anyone asks me, like, oh, I'd be too scared. Like, what if I bomb? I'm like, you will, and it won't be the worst that night. I guarantee it.
Right.
Yeah. So I went to the doctor to get Xanax. So I got a bunch, of course I got it because I lied. No. And,
As you should.
yeah. So I got it for my fear of flying, of course. And
Classic.
yeah. I talked to other comics, another great comic, Leo Hudson. I talked to him because I actually knew him when I went to Cape Fear. And I go, wow.
That's crazy. Y'all are both like in Wilmington. Like,
Yeah.
I remember like Steve talking about hanging out with Leo back in the day. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's so crazy. So I knew him, and I went to one of his shows, and I saw him, and so I was asking him questions. I was like, so how often do you like get up? And I obviously, again, no idea, haven't researched how to do it. And he was like, oh yeah, you got to get up like 4 or 5 times a week. And I was like, I don't have enough Xanax.
I need a
It's about to get expensive.
Right. Yeah. This is going. So it might've been 2 or 3, the first 3 times I took Xanax to get on stage. And then I go, it's fine. You just got to do it. If I'm going to do it 4 to 5 times a week minimum, yeah, I can't do this. So I just threw that shit out. And
Where did you start going back up in Raleigh?
I think it was, God, I want to say I tried to get on at Good Nights, and yeah, I think it was Good Nights. And I hung around there, and I found some people who were also just starting. They were telling me about, oh, here's a whole list. So then I was like, oh, I'll just do the other spots on the list, get at least some confidence to go back to Good Nights, because Good Nights at the time, and kind of still is like the kingpin of the comedy club in the scene, and that's where you want to be. So I at least didn't want to appear to be new when I first
Tell that
started
joke for the first time on that stage.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so who are you starting with? Who's like around you at that time?
Yeah, I guess Sam Zani was. He started like I think like 2 months after me, like 2 or 3 months, and then there's
Very
this
funny.
guy. Yeah, and then there's this guy, David Kriminger, who does not do stand-up anymore, but it was us 3. Like, we were kind of like felt like we were on a raft, and there's like sharks swimming around us, and we're all just like holding each other tight, like it's just us 3, man, until you prove to be funny, and then some of the other push them, get more stage time, and then you start to get the other comics to trust you and your dedication, and they go, okay, this guy can tell a joke, or he's not awful, so I'll talk to him. But it was so, I can't even tell you, when I started, it was so standoffish. It was like, it would be like, hey, what's up? And then like literally not even talk, and like look the other way. It's like, damn, did I
Did I do that?
Yeah, did I kill your mother? Why are you looking at me like that?
Yeah.
Like,
I love that the Raleigh scene provides the North Carolina drama.
Oh, dude.
We all turn to y'all in your Facebook groups and everything to be like,
Oh,
that would be a regular, like a Wilmington mic. Like, someone would walk up, like, you see what's happening in Raleigh?
oh yeah. I've never even been part of the Raleigh comedy scene, but because I've done shows there since around 2018, I mean, I from the bottom of my heart, I don't know who you need to spread this to, but thank you for making Facebook interesting again.
Dude, I stay out of it completely. There's no reason to say anything. Like, I'll check for like mics, and it's like,
of course.
Let's just try to tell some jokes, guys. Here's a bunch of comedians who can't take jokes.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
So I want to go back
Highly
a second.
entertaining.
What made you want to do the mic in the first place in 2006? Like, was there something like just from like your childhood that you were like, I've always wanted to do this, or it was like, what
Were you
really?
a fan of comedy? Like, what?
Yeah. So actually, kind of crazy. My dad is like really good friends with Dom Irera, and to the point where like Dom was in my dad's wedding, and they would like go to Philly to like they played basketball together all the time. Like they just hung out. They were roommates. Dom got a job working for my dad's company, you know, while he was trying to do stand up and stuff like that. So I mean, they were super tight. And so just seeing him on TV and knowing that that was a job as an option, especially when you know the person,
Right.
where it's like, oh wow, that's what Dom does. Like I couldn't even just be I want to do that. That's crazy. And to be honest, I mean, like you were saying, Dane Cook was the only person going on at that time. Dane Cook was so big that it was like that my friends knew who he was when they didn't know stand-up comedy or care. So that was just like mind-blowing to me, that like to get on that type of level, because I don't care who you are. Dane Cook almost like pumped life back into stand-up comedy for that time. I mean,
took MySpace
absolutely.
and made it a viable option for people to see.
Yeah,
when people don't realize that, like, prior to Dane Cook, like the first person that ever sold out, like, let's say Giant Stadium, was Steve Martin. And that was unheard of. Like Richard Pryor was even talking about it. It was like, yeah, like I could do a theater of 2,000, and Steve Martin's literally selling out Giant Stadium. So when Dane Cook came back around, when, you know, the comedy bubble kind of bursts, and he's now doing that, it's just like, yeah, I do think it, like, but what you said, like, breathe life back into
like my mom
comedy.
knew who Dane Cook was.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
She can't name 5 relevant comics, but she knew who Dane Cook was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. But you knew a comic, a very specific comic, on like a personal level.
Yeah, but if you have a comedy uncle,
exactly.
Dom Herrera, like that's pretty. That's nice.
Yeah. He would come over to the house for dinner when he was in town, and I got into. I can't remember exactly what age I was, but he was doing a gig. They were gonna go see Dom that night, and they were asking Dom if he could. Dude, I might have been 12 or 13. I mean, like, I should not have been in that club, but I remember he pulled a favor. I remember that even the door guy being like, looking around like, Jesus Christ, there's a kid coming in here, like clearly a kid, not like he could be 18. Like, this is a
can
child.
We just put a trench coat on
like
this
a
kid?
fake mustache on. You're like, no.
Yeah.
If anyone asked you 34.
Yeah. But I remember going, and I just, the laughter was just like electric. Like, of course, like a lot of stuff just went over my head, but this, of course, like a good dick joke. Like, I was like, I can't believe people are talking about dicks. It's just like,
we can talk about that.
Yeah, it's just like amazing. So, I mean, especially being in the club and like feeling it, that was another level. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, because there really isn't much. There's nothing like that, right? Like when Drew was doing a special, you know, and Dead Crow sold out, and like we've watched the special several times, we're editing it, and I keep saying, like, you can't ever capture how incredible it was in that room at that time, and just the energy and what was happening. I mean, it was just so much fun. It was just cool.
Well, I mean, even when you're doing it, it's hard to take it all in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, instead of enjoying it, I was in my head like, don't mess us up. Don't mess us up. It's going so well now. Don't mess us up.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
so yeah, I wish I could go back and kind of just enjoy the moment a little bit more, you know?
Yeah. The one and done is like, oh man, like that went great, but also like, can I have fun now? Can I go out there and have fun for a second time? I would love
second
to have
show,
a second take.
we
was the thing with
we were supposed to do a second take.
Yeah.
But there was no way we were going to capture that again. Like it was completely pointless to film the second show after that. So I got to take a nice little victory lap on the second show. So
and that was still like, you know, 140, 150 people in there. So like, it was very fun to just get to be loose after, you know, doing what we did, and then just being like, and now this one doesn't matter. So let's go piss some people off. You know?
Yeah.
Will tried to piss off all the bros all week.
Man,
but ended up that would be the people talking to him at the end of the show is the bros.
Oh,
like,
so
I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, they just come up and be like, dude, I totally love that Joe Rogan bit you did, because like, yeah, I totally listened to him, but I get it because like he's not actually an alpha. Like, and I understand that. And I was like, so what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm in the military. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. You know, Wilmington.
it-
All the
yeah,
military
yeah.
bros were just drawn to Will for some reason.
Dude,
After
getting
the
my
show meant a
phone
lot.
number, like being like, bro, what bar are you at right now, dude? Like, we're
So he
turning
would
up
already-
green t-shirts.
I was about to say he'd already be hammered before we could leave Dead Crow because he had
my
the bros
gosh, dude.
backing him at
I
Dead
cou-
Crow.
like, yeah, like the night he actually recorded, like I couldn't even go out with him afterwards. So I was just like, they just got me smashed. I was like Drew got off. I was
I
like,
turned to him at the bar at Dead Crow after the second show, and he's got just the.
and I literally just go, hey man, I'm proud of you. I'm gonna go hang out with Lou's dog. And I went back, back to Lou's place. And like Lou got back and I'm just like in the bed with his dog with Bones. Like I was like, I'm not moving. I'm not moving. I'm done.
Yeah.
That was
man.
good.
So we're in 2014. We're in Raleigh. We're
Mhm.
trying to prove ourselves in the scene.
Yeah.
Who was the first to like believe in you and like see you on stage and like get you some spots?
Oh, that's a sweet question, Drew.
So one of the I guess I'll do two parts. One was I was going to Clayton. I was driving again out of town.
LOL.
LOL, right?
Yes.
So Leroy Seabrooks was hosting the open mic, and
What
it
a
was
name.
yeah. So this
If
is
you
an
don't do comedy and your
OG.
name's Leroy. Then
Yeah,
what are you doing
Seabrooks,
with your
yeah.
life?
OG in the 80s comedian. And so again, I'm driving out of town. I'm driving 45 minutes so no one sees me to start to try to get good. And then Leroy Seabrooks is hosting, and I am the only comic that showed up. So we have an open
Oh,
mic
wow.
with him and me. And he goes, "How long you been doing comedy?" I was like, "A couple weeks." he's like, "All right." He goes, "You how about I'll go up there, do 20." And I was like, "Okay." And he goes, "And then you can do 10." And I go, "Sounds good. All right." I was obviously prepared to do 4. So
I'll stretch it. It's fine.
right, yeah. I'm like, give it up for the troops.
Give it up for yourselves. Give it up for this establishment.
Yeah, so it's like him, and there's like just one table of 8 people, and that's it.
Oh,
And he goes, as I'm walking upstage, he goes, "Just try to have fun. Just try, you know what I mean?" And I'm like, all right. So I go up there. And yeah, it's just
reluctance. Just like
give it a shot.
look, he's like already like, just we love this.
yeah, tried. Yeah, and he's like, just don't do anything about Hitler and Tinder. Like, just go through. No, he didn't say that, but it's just the fact that it's like,
Don't
oh,
do
Can you
any
not
crowd
combine
work.
genocide and Tinder into the same conversation? Yeah.
can lay off
that's on my
religion.
Tinder profile. I'm the Hitler of Tinder. So I go up there, and it goes good. Like it went really well, to the point where he's like, "Well, look at that." When he gets back up there, like obviously surprised. And then
I did not know this was going to go that way.
yeah, he's been doing comedy for like 20 plus years, and he brought me aside, and he was like, "Yeah, I think you got something. You got to work a lot, but you got something." And so even that was just a little bit like, all right.
Yeah,
So
nice little shot in the arm.
dude, just anything from anybody that has been doing comedy was something. So anyway, the first person that kind of brought me aside was, I think it was Revan, the GM
That's
at the
a
time.
good person.
Yeah,
That's a good
yeah.
person to pull
She
you
saw me
aside.
on stage and was like, "Hey, you're good. Come back." And I go, okay. And then at the time they were doing this, dude. Oh man, this one open mic, they altered with so much, but they would put the A-list comics together in the first little bit, and then they had a
switch host, right?
switch host, a B list.
Yeah.
And then it got to a point where they had a C list. Like, if you're still
Wow.
here, I guess these people can go up.
Oh my god.
So when I got back, she put me on the A list with all these other guys, and I was like, "Where's my Xanax? I need my Xanax." It's just like so much nerves. But she was the first one that was like, and then, honestly, at the time, the only one that mattered.
Right.
I mean, if
Yeah.
you want to get booked and tell jokes, and
If you have
someone to-
one person in the club on your side, the GM is
Normally a pretty good one to have.
yeah.
Yeah. And I went up and I did not do good, and just and then next week B list. I was like, all right, that's respectable.
Yeah.
It's a very like clear message there. Yeah.
Yeah. Brent Blakeney, he pulled me aside and he goes, he goes, how long you been doing comedy? I think at the time it was like 4 months, and he's like,
Okay.
and he was like, dude, wow, that's pretty good. Yeah, because I actually, there was one open mic. I was 4 months in, and I just opened mic 2 new jokes that actually made it on my album. So when I was 4 months in, so
Oh, cool.
yeah, so I was like, it's kind of crazy. Like I think I got a handle on it early, and then like went through a long rough patch of like, wow, what the hell?
Yeah.
Trying to figure out the rest.
Right. Yeah. So, but I don't think, if I didn't have those bits early, then I don't know if I would have continued, to at least be like, I think I have this. If it was just this constant like flat line of just nothing, I would have
Was one of them the community college?
Yeah.
I love that. That's my favorite joke of you.
Thanks, man. Yeah. So
there's not many jokes of other comics that I like repeat to people in conversation, but that is definitely one of them.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Because you do get that. Like, I went to community college. Like,
yeah,
nothing wrong with that. Like,
yeah, dude, every single time. Yeah, no, it wasn't a bullshit thing. Like to the point where like other people from community college, like it's so relatable, it hurts.
Yeah, right. I remember the first time I heard that joke, it was probably like a Dead Crow open mic or a showcase or something at Dead Crow, and I'd just be like, oof.
Yeah.
That's all you hear when you say that.
Yeah.
So what are the next steps here? Are you starting to like, so you're 4 months in, people are going, okay, you know what, you can do this. Like no one's pulling you aside and going, hey, bud,
right?
Hey,
yeah,
maybe you step away again. Like
yeah.
So what kind of happened? So did you get back on the A list? Did someone take you on the road, or like what ended up? What were the next couple steps there?
So yeah, I just kept going, and I'll shit on the place a little bit just because I liked the place, but
yeah,
there's this place called DSI, and
it's okay to shit on them.
Yeah.
It's kind of a common theme with our podcast. It's just as a comic comes on, just goes, hey, by the way. And he says like a manager's name specifically. They can go fuck themselves. And they're like, and also this club, this club, this club, and this club. And then like Drew has a little scratch pad where he just lists all the clubs we'll never be able to go to.
Right. Yeah.
DSI gave me a lot of stuff early on, so I hear you on this.
Yeah.
What's DSI stand for?
I don't even know.
Dirty South Improv, maybe? Is it? I'm fucking making it up right now.
Yeah,
I mean, because that'd be a great name. That'd be a great name if it was Dirty South Improv.
I don't think the guy was cool enough for that to be the name.
No. Yeah, he's a fucking.
It probably
nerd.
was something like Digital Solution Improv. Like
Dick
something
sucking
like that.
improv.
That's what it turned out to be.
Joke.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So yeah, I got a lot of. I felt like you were talking about how you felt at Comedy Cabana. That's how I felt. That's how DSI made me feel. You know what I mean? Like they brought me back as a featured performer for their festival one year. Like I had my own little green room one time.
Yeah.
I was like, I made it.
Right. Yeah.
And then 6 months later.
So the plus side with this is all maybe but one or two of the A-list comics at Goodnights was not going to this other place. I don't want to say that they felt like they were better at the time, but like they've been doing it for a couple years, so they're established at the better club. So they're
the better club. What does it matter?
Right? Yeah. And I'm thinking, here's the opportunity. Here's a stage that's going to give me ample time. I mean, I was 6 months as they gave me 20 minutes, and I'm like, oh my God. So am I going to do every joke 3 times? Like, is that what you guys want me to do?
Yeah.
So I started to go there a lot, and they gave me a lot of stage time. And that obviously helped me build material a lot quicker, especially when they're giving out 20-minute spots to guys that
Just
are
throwing
brand
stuff
new.
at the wall at
Mhm.
that point. You know?
Yeah. I mean, half your set's an open mic.
Right.
So I get, I just start doing that, and I start showing up to good nights with new jokes and new tags on old stuff. And Revan, fortunately, her being at the GM at the time, would watch every open mic. She would watch every open mic, and she would take notes on every comic. So this wasn't just like, hey, go up, whatever. She would give you feedback if you wanted it. And she pulled me aside and would say, hey, try to, like, you're doing this, like, try to do this. She one time told me, like my community college joke was like going in this completely different direction. She pulled me aside and she goes, don't do that. And I listened. I was like,
but it ended up working in the end.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I was like, she's like, don't do this other part that you're doing. I go, okay, got it. And I just never did
Sometimes
it
that's
again.
the solution, is cutting something out instead of adding something else.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, then I think I started to host there when I was a year into comedy. And that was that for me. I was just setting up these small goals of, like, I was like, I want to be able to host at good nights when I'm maybe 3 years in. Like, I'm being logical, like 3 years in.
Yeah, that's very realistic.
I'm going to try to host at this club. And if I can, great. If not, then we'll see. Maybe. And then I'm always thinking, if I can't get to that goal, or I'm giving myself a realistic time frame, then maybe consider other options.
Right,
So,
right.
but I got to host there at a year in. And Revan, I was just telling this to someone yesterday. Revan said I was doing good, honestly. I was doing, in looking back, I was doing better than I should have, for sure. I'll go ahead and say this. I thought my first 2 years were better than a lot of the comics that I have seen, as far as, like, and I'm not saying that to beat my chest. Just wait a minute. I'm going to throw myself under the bus here.
No, it's
Year 3, literally a whole year where I could not come up with one joke.
Wow.
I did not add one joke to my whole set, because I couldn't, for some, I was going crazy. I was like,
yeah, I bet.
especially when you can, you get 10 minutes in a year that you think is good. And then all of a sudden 0 jokes are made in a 365-day period.
And you just start hating your material.
Oh yeah.
So
And
much.
then if you do come up with an idea, you second guess it.
For sure. Yeah. You don't say it with confidence, and you're like, yeah, you're right, that sucks.
Yeah.
Right.
Or I had this thing where I would go through a few months of, like, not being able to write anything, and then I would come up with something, and I'd be like, someone's had to have already talked about that.
Oh yeah, I always think that. Yeah,
someone already brought that up. I can't do that. I'm just like, just do it.
Yeah. Sometimes if it's too general, I will spend, instead of writing the joke, I'll spend an hour Googling if someone's already done it.
Or texting some buddies, but have you heard of this? Have you heard of someone talking?
Texting a bunch of comedy nerds, like, has someone done something like this? Because you guys would know.
Yeah, I had this. I had a block. When I first got to Nashville, I was like, well, basically, I was inside for a year, and then I get to Nashville, and they're like, we don't even know what COVID is. Like, you want to tell us about it a little bit, like. And so I'm trying to, like, rewrite material from 2020, which doesn't hold up in 2021, especially in the South, especially in Tennessee. And I remember just, like, struggling to write material. And I was in Atlanta, and I was doing a joke about spending a lot of time with my father. And I said something along the lines of, like, I hooked up with this woman, and she said she's never met she's like, I've never met my father. And I said, on an emotional level, I've never met my father. And I just like riffed it on stage, Yeah. And then I got off and I went, I think that's Lucas O'Neill's joke. So I call Lucas O'Neill up and I'm like, hey, bud, is this your joke? Because I know we both talk about our parents. He goes, no, you idiot. That's John Mulaney. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. That's why it was sounded so good. Yeah.
I was like, that's why it was perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've done that one time, not like where you're just, it's like a throwaway line after a joke or something
it just
happens
pops
where it
out of the back of your brain,
pops in, and I immediately said it and I go, fuck, I'm gonna get crucified if anyone in this room knows that's So yeah, where it's just like, it's literally like a sentence or half a sentence, just set up punch.
it could come from one of your favorite specials and it's just wired into your brain. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
yeah,
You're not
right.
saying it maliciously to take
Right,
it. You're
yeah.
just like, this is funny.
Yeah. You're not
Right.
saying it over and over. Like, yeah.
I've definitely
like-
done that at open mics. Been like, blah, blah, blah. And then, oh, that tag wasn't mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I'll jokingly hang myself with this rope, and I've done that with the mic cord before, and that's like the only reason that's like from Rory Scovel's special, but it never made it to the special. I
Mhm.
only know about that because Max Fine was at the live recording, and at some point Rory actually threw the mic over a cord, like over a pipe, and pretended to hang himself with it, and I just like. I watch him religiously and I can visualize that so well that I'm like, oh, this is so funny. So like if I'm really bombing, I'm just like, yeah, I'm just gonna go hang myself.
Yeah.
But then in the back of my mind, I'm like, you stole this. And I'm like, well, sort of. Like, it was inside
No one
baseball.
knows.
Yeah, but also that's so general where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go
Oh, yeah.
hang myself. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
My thing with comics, if you're gonna make a suicide joke, make it a good suicide joke.
yeah.
Make them believe you. Make them see it.
Make them
Exactly.
see it.
Yeah.
So how did you get out of the year 3 kind of writer's block?
I just kept going. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
it was like especially when you're a new comic on the scene and you are able to do 10 minutes, people are booking you on shows, and like you were saying, you hate all your material. So now
Right.
when you're doing shows, you're not trying to like smash it and prove everybody, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm trying this new joke in the middle because I'm gonna go crazy if I have to say the same shit over and over again.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about it. I just kept going. Yeah.
Just raw anger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is how you get out of your writer's block.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
I don't.
You won a Carolina contest in 2016, right?
Yeah.
One
So
of
that
the-
was 14. Yeah. So I was 2 years in, and I
Okay.
had
So that was part of the great 2 years. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So that if that says anything about my first 2 years of like that was going good, like I won the contest 2 years in, and it was like I think the minimum for the last round was 8 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And all I had was like 10 really good minutes in 2 years, where
Yeah.
of course I could do 15 if someone needed me to, and no one would be like, oh, that guy was not good, but
yeah.
it was like,
Because it's
B
crazy to
plus.
think back, because we did a lot of stuff together in 2015, 2016, and you definitely came across as someone who was more than 2 years in.
Oh, thanks, man.
Because I remember you
Yeah.
walked into the Port City's Top Comic 2016, and people were
Yeah.
like, Mark's doing this contest.
Oh, really? Oh, jeez.
It was you and Trundy. You and Trundy came in, and people were like, shit.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, that was great, man. That was so cool to do, especially that early. But yeah, and then year 3, it was like, fucking everything sucks, isn't it? It's just like,
but isn't that the ebb and flow of like just these
I guess I
great
wasn't-
years.
yeah, I guess I was. Then you start getting in your own head of just like this.
Right.
I can never make another joke.
I'll
It's
never
like
be this
capturing
good ever
lightning
again.
in a
Yeah.
bottle sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, can I do
Yeah.
it again?
Right. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you kind of like you won this competition very early, and then
Mhm.
you probably put a ton of pressure on yourself to be like, well, now I'm the guy, and now I got to be the guy that shows up every single time. And
Right.
when you
yeah.
do that, all of a
'Cause
sudden, you're like,
don't you when you win, you get like a package, like you are the guy. Like you get headshots, you get like all these like this
oh,
work.
wait, do you
like,
really?
Yeah.
You get a belt. You get a
you
championship
get a
belt.
belt. You get money. You get these headshots.
So I'm sure all
Um,
that was piling on too. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
oh, Jesus.
Yeah. I think you guys are right. Like it was a lot of pressure, and then you're especially like the next open mic, like, oh, that's the guy who won it, and then you're open micing jokes, and it's like, that's the fucking guy.
That's the
That?
best you can do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's an
I
open
mean-
mic. It's an open mic. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I went through that when I won Port City. Like anytime
Okay.
you're in Wilmington, they bring you up as this is Port City's top comic, and you're like,
Curse of death. I mean, or kiss of death.
I
should
was
say
gonna
now.
work on some new stuff, but okay, that's cool. I guess
Yeah.
I'll bring A game stuff tonight.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
just feel
that's-
that pressure all the time, just as as such a household name. with all my multiple Netflix specials. You know, I get it, guys. I can relate.
Yeah. Well, especially, and I'm sure you're running into this now, like with the album, you go and do an open mic and like, this guy just did his album, and it's like, I just don't say anything about me. That's when, like, for the first first probably like 6 years, people be like, what do you want me to say about you? I'm like, fucking nothing. Don't tell them
No one
anything.
cares.
Yeah.
No one cares.
No one cares. And also make the bar so low I can just step right over it. I don't want people to keep hyping it up. Yeah.
That is always a funny conversation in comedy. Like, hey, what do you want us to say? What do you want to say? And they're just like, tell them that I'm sad. And you just go.
Yeah, because that Port City credit quickly turned just sad. Like the more years you were removed from it.
Yes.
Like I remember in 2000, I think it was like 2 years after Blair Postman was bringing me up, and she's like, I don't know, this guy won this contest at some point. I don't know, give it up for. And I was like, oh.
God, this was Blair introduction.
Well, that's the problem I was having with it too, because they would be like, you know, it'd be 2019, and they're like, this guy won funniest in 2016, and then you're like, dude, it feels so long ago that they might as well bring you up and be like, hey, you guys remember that show Home Improvement? Well, this guy,
right.
you know, it's like, dude, it
contest
doesn't matter.
credits have such a short span.
And comedy changes so rapidly. So you're like, oh, they won in 2016. What were they talking about in 2016? Imagine it now.
Yeah, I'm canceled.
Because I think that's how you were introduced to me. Because Sam introduced us. I think it was like 2018. I was doing a run with Gabe Pacheco.
Oh,
We did the pit, Chapel Hill.
That was DSI. That's
okay.
what DSI was.
Oh, okay.
When we talk about DSI, that's what it turned into.
Oh, funny. All right, cool. Yeah, because I think you and Sam were on that show at the same time. But I remember Sam brought you on, and you know, you hear this credit, and you know, and that's one thing I don't miss about New York is the way you look at the rest of the country's scenes. You're like, no, but we're in New York, and then you go to a scene, you go, oh, this scene is very good. What, you know, like this scene's really good. And I remember I was like, all right, well, I'll watch this guy. You know, he won this thing down in North Carolina. Like, is that even a state anymore? You know,
you doing shit about sweet tea?
yeah.
I bet he's a fan of
talk about chicken or something. You know,
right.
And then I remember you just like were so polished and so good, and I was like, oh, I need to just completely reevaluate the way I approach comedy.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, it is funny, like going to other scenes or doing other festivals, you kind of realize like, oh man, we're, you know, we got a good scene here. I've always felt like North Carolina's under the radar for sure, but I mean, there's a couple good comics, man, that's come out of here.
Yeah,
so.
I think it's what it is. It's just it's industry, and it's exposure to industry, and it's been New York and LA, and you know, Chicago to a degree, and you know, Atlanta's getting there or whatever, and it's just one of those things where it's just been that way for so long that your mentality shifts, and then you go to an Asheville, North Carolina, and go, this show's fantastic, and these comics from Asheville are fantastic. What are they doing here?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I've said it many a time. Like, I'd put North Carolina's best against anybody.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When we were having when the comedy bars were having beef, because like Comedy Bar Chicago kept sending headliners out of Nashville, I was like, send the boys up there, like see what's gonna happen, you know. I truly believe, and you know, and that's not to knock Chicago, it's a fantastic scene, but it was one of these where it's like, I know that you think we're the smaller scene, but there's some really good comics here. And they're gonna hold their own. You can hold your own here as well, but we're gonna hold our own there as equally.
On the other side, it is fun to go to other scenes and be like, oh, we have this guy there.
I love that. I love that.
Where it's like, it doesn't matter if they're good or bad or whatever, but you're like, I know we have a comic exactly like that, saying the exact same thing, dressed the same way, saying those things,
same weird smirk on their face.
It is crazy, man.
When you they're changing the world with their cum jokes.
Yeah. Like when you find the scenes like absolute batshit insane person, but like the person that everyone loves. And you could like, you're like sitting at a mic at a new scene, and you know that person's about to go on stage because they introduce them funny. They give them like a weird introduction that you're like, all right, I don't understand the context of that. And then they basically get a standing ovation from the comics. And then they just get up there and they're just batshit insane. And you're like, oh, you're that guy. Okay, here you are.
I saw a person quit comedy at an
Oh.
Asheville open mic. Like they had a full on meltdown, pulled one of those fuck you, you're cool, fuck you, and just
Whoa.
quit. And I turned to the host because I didn't know the scene. I was like, was that
Is that a
real?
bad-
And they're like, yeah, we've been waiting for that. That was building for a few weeks. We're like,
I
okay.
Wow.
I thought we said we weren't going to talk about when I quit comedy in Asheville.
Yeah.
That random night back at the Southern, back when they did comedy at that old, like
Oh,
it
yeah.
looked like the Civil War cannon hit the side of the building.
Have you guys quit comedy at a time? Was there a bomb or something, a show that happened so bad you walked off and you're like, that was the last time I was on stage?
Nah,
I-
thank
no.
God. Knock on wood. I'm not trying to ask for it. Like I
Right,
definitely don't want the universe, but like frustration from like the business side of things. I've definitely, been in my head to where I'm like, I could walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've talked myself to that point, you know what I mean? Where like I get a couple disappointing emails and been like, I could be happier
Could
away
be good.
from this.
Yeah.
You know?
Man.
Yeah. I had to walk away for a little bit because I also so what happened with me was I was doing very well early on, and then I had a major in TV production. And just because of the way my father raised me, it was like, well, if you're not making money in TV production, you're a waste of time.
Mm.
So I started taking TV jobs, and those are 12 to 14-hour days. So I started doing comedy like once a month. But I was doing well that once a month, and I was at the Stand. Like I wasn't at like some bar. I was
Oh.
at like, a good club in New York.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm still doing comedy. And then I went out to LA. I was working on the Oscars, actually. I was working on the Oscars, and a buddy of mine put me on like 4 shows in 4 days, like on the week that I had off. And the first 3 were amazing. And then the last one, I looking back, I may have been having an anxiety attack or something, because I just remember like all of a sudden all the fun that I'd had in comedy for the first 5 years was gone.
Mm.
And I like couldn't explain it to my girlfriend at the time. I didn't understand. And then I just didn't get back on stage for like maybe 9 months to a year and a half. And the
Whoa.
idea of it just made me like break out in a sweat. Like the idea of getting on stage like made me really freak out, which was even more upsetting because that was the only place I think I'd ever been comfortable with who I was or like how I was talking. Like, I always felt very comfortable on stage. So even to like think about it kind of made me panic. And I've talked about this before, but basically I was standing in Yonkers, and it was 8 degrees outside, and it just like I was working on a show I don't even watch. I was like telling cars to not drive down a street, and I was like,
They're yelling
this
at you.
is fucking garbage. I was like, I'd rather go back to stand up. And then I think like a week later, I got onto an open mic and I tried like new jokes, had some friends show up, and then, but it was crazy because in that year I was gone, roughly, the people that I was kind of ahead all passed me. And it's New York. So when you get passed, it's like a very serious pass. It's like they're on Letterman, they're on now Colbert, they're on all this stuff.
Wow.
So it was a mind fuck in a lot of different ways. But yeah, I did take a little bit of time off. And if I do remember correctly, despite all that stress, my ex-girlfriend and I were very happy in that time that we that I
Right,
wasn't
yeah.
doing
I
stand-up.
will say from
Yeah,
just
man.
a grinding standpoint,
Yeah.
the pandemic was a very nice break for me.
Oh, see that? I was the opposite with that.
I welcomed that because I went super hard for 8 years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was a nice to just be like, I
Yeah.
don't have
See-
to hit up anybody. I don't have
You're-
to ask for this show spot. I don't have to make this show
Emails.
poster. I don't have to
Yeah.
produce anything. I don't have to get this month's show lineup ready. I can
Right.
just sit here, and I was a newlywed, so like we just sat on
Yeah.
the couch and just hung out. And I will say I needed that break.
Right.
For sure. I'm on your side, Drew, where it was like, okay, I'm not having anxiety about missing a mic because nobody's doing a mic right now. So
Right,
it was like,
right.
there's almost like even just being home, I was like, there's guilt of me being home for a night because I wasn't out doing a mic. And so that's changed my whole mentality moving forward. But like, it was nice to be like, okay. Like I looked to my wife and I was like, what do people do with all this time?
Yeah.
When you're not, like just fascinated by like, so you just work all day and then you do like just hang out, like that's what
Yeah.
normal people do.
I got back into drawing, like I got back into art.
Yeah.
I went back to school. Like,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I love comedy and I'm glad it's back. And obviously
Yeah.
I've stepped back into it wholeheartedly, but I had a good time.
Mine was
Had a nice
the
break.
exact opposite. I was finally making up all for the lost time. Trajectory was finally up, and then everything shut down. I'm back with my parents, and I was like, if I don't stay busy, like I have to like do a Zoom mic, try and book more Zoom mics, drink until 3 a.m., wake up at 11, and then do the whole day again. Like I I was like, that was like my thing where I was losing my mind.
Wow.
I couldn't handle the time. There was
Well, I
just too
also
much
had
time.
my day job did not cut us a break at
Yeah.
all. So
Oh,
like,
really?
I had to, they threw gloves and a mask at us day one and were like, get
Good
back
luck.
out there.
Damn. Yeah.
So, I mean, I had that normalcy in my life to where I came home from work and I just chilled. It was amazing. I cooked dinner. You know what I mean? Like, what's that? Watch Jeopardy. You know, Will, you know how much I love my Jeopardy.
Oh God,
Watch Jeopardy.
I think it might be my least favorite quality about you is how much you love Jeopardy, and I don't know why. But
it's not a bad. It's
bothers
not like
me.
I'm sitting there being like, I like Real
No, because you make it a Facebook status. I think if you just said to me like,
it's
hey,
only
man,
on Twitter. Calm down.
no, you put it on Facebook. You put it on Facebook because I've commented on Facebook. Twitter, I wouldn't see it because I don't get on Twitter ever. But Facebook,
you should. Twitter's fun.
no, I can't. I can't handle it.
So you took the break as I did, and then you came out. How coming out of this for you? Go for
it was hard, man, because it was just like there you can't, especially when you first came out, your shows are like maybe once a month, maybe, and there's no open mics because everyone's like, we're still not gonna do
we're
that.
not risking it for a mic. We'll do a show, but
we'll do a show. Like the club opened back up and they're like, oh, do you want to feature? I was like, I went up there to feature and I would forget half of the joke. Like I would do a punchline or two and then have to move on to the next joke because I was like, I don't remember how the rest of that joke was. Because you're not doing it and it's not like
it's not that second motion.
It's not natural anymore. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and so
you almost have to relearn your material. Like I took it as a complete start over. Like not that I threw out all my jokes, but I like reordered them. I restructured like my set. Like you basically had to relearn what you were saying.
Yeah, and like you're just like little things. Yeah, I did a tour in May, and that was my first like run of longer shows, and I had to have a piece of paper on stage to run 30-45 minutes for the first like 5 to 6 shows. But then by the 7th or 8th, I was so happy to be like, okay, I kind of remember this now.
Right.
Like I would have the paper there just in case, you know, but I was mostly getting through it. And now I feel like much more comfortable. But it was this thing where you're like, I really thought this was like riding a bicycle, but it wasn't at all.
The rust was real.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, I mean, even taking like 2 weeks off and doing a show and be like, oh, I missed that part. Or like, I forgot that tag. Like just like these little things. And this is how long it was. I was trying to relearn some of my jokes after that. I think I did like 1 or 2 of those shows. I was like, what else do I have? Like, I was like, do I not have any jokes at all? I looked at a set from like, I think it was the year before, so 2019, and I'm watching my set. And this is how long it was. Is I said a joke and I fucking laughed watching it.
like it was due to you.
Yeah, like I was like, oh, that's good. Like wow. I really forgot everything.
But I get it. I get that though. There was that moment of like when we finally were able to get back on stage where you would go back and you'd be like, oh, yeah, all right, I was okay. I did the same thing. I saw a tape and was like, I remember just being like, I'm quitting, I'm done. And then just seeing a tape and being like, you got this, kid. You're like, you're cheering for yourself.
Yeah. It was almost like being in a coma and someone tells you, hey, you know, you used to do stand-up comedy. And you go, what? And then you look back at the tape and you're like, it's pretty good. All right. This guy's all right. Yeah. And then of course you try a couple of jokes about COVID, and it's like, why am I doing this? Why? Like that was another thing where it's like, when we shut down, I was like, well, hey man, my mentality was like, just keep writing and have a fucking hour of stuff you're gonna try when you go back out on stage. And then of course you try all your new COVID stuff that everyone else is saying too, and you're like, all right, well, that 10 minutes is not gonna, like, I don't even want to talk about it, because you would bring it up at a show and people would fucking like silence, like we don't want to hear about it.
But I just remember like the idea of like getting back to anything normal just to discuss on stage was, because like it was just 2020, like I know 2021 was still insane, but like 2020 was just so wild. It's like gonna be impossible to explain to our grandkids because they won't ever exist.
Right. Yeah.
But it's just like
dying,
trying to
bro.
go back into making people laugh and be like, oh, I want to be relatable. I want to like,
right.
Oh, it's great.
When did you feel like you were comfortable being back?
I mean, October of 2020.
Yeah.
So like the club had been open for a couple months and a couple shows, and then people started doing local things and everything was outside. So it was just like, then you're like, oh, you started to get comfortable in front of a mic instead of like, oh shit.
Starting to figure out, like, write jokes again and not just COVID jokes.
Right. Yeah. I think that was
life.
super hard, because I was like, I haven't done it. It was still like, I haven't done anything. So there's no material at all.
Right.
So
yeah.
Like what color walls do you have at your house?
yeah.
So how did the album come about?
Yeah.
So, okay. It was, we were actually talking about doing the album before COVID. So before COVID hit, I think it was in February, they asked me to do you want to do an album? And I don't know. It's so crazy to say.
And this is Helium coming to you, right?
Yeah. Helium. I guess I should know the name of their
record.
I think it's Helium.
Helium Records. Yeah.
It's okay. I have a list of rejection emails, so I
Helium Records came to me and they said, you want to do an album? And I kind of looked at him like, why? Like almost like I don't understand, because I still a part of me is like, I know like previously it was like, okay, 2 years in, you got like probably like 10 minutes of that like made it on the album. But like here I am almost, I guess it's, I can't do math, 6 years in, and they're asking me to do an hour. Like that, like I didn't feel comfortable. I even said that, I go, I don't have an hour. Like I want to, but it's not ready. Like
it's great you said that though, because most comics have just been like, I'll figure it out.
Right. Yeah.
You want me to
like,
do two?
Yeah.
I said, how about next year? So which would have been, I guess 2021, but obviously March COVID hit, and then 0 stage time. So like now I can't work on new stuff, and also my old stuff is rusty now.
Right.
And I don't know about y'all, but did you feel like your old stuff just didn't matter anymore after COVID?
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, people aren't going to care about this.
Yeah.
This is a whole new world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like it's almost like you gotta talk about the change, like not necessarily COVID, but like
everything.
What's going on? Yeah,
everything's different. Everything's different.
Well, it's almost like the Nate Bargatze joke where he's like talking to the prison. Is you guys remember what like outside is like? You know?
Yeah. You guys remember outside?
Yeah.
Then so then they were like, how about we do your album once stuff started opening back in 2020? They're like, how about we do your album the beginning of 2021? I was like, no, I guess it's not, like I don't have anything. I don't. So I was writing furiously on like new shit, and like there are jokes on that album that I came up with maybe 3 weeks before the album, where it's just putting like didn't even have a chance to build it, just like, here's something, you want that?
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed the album, so I couldn't tell that those jokes.
You listened to it. Awesome. Thank you.
I did.
Thanks, man.
Now, how did I'm a big branding nerd. So like tell me how like the cover art and the name and all that came to be.
Cool. Yeah, man. Thanks. So also before the album, we recorded it in June of 2021, and I had 13 shows to prepare for an hour, and I had not done an hour on any of those shows. I basically, the first time I did an hour, that hour was that night. So
Wow.
I did not have time.
Wow.
I mean, same. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because all the shows are so limited.
I was able to do 30 minutes at a time, you know what I mean? But like not
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just like duct taping. I'm like, okay, I know this 20 minutes works together.
Yeah.
I know this 20 minutes works together. And then like, I'll do another set, of 15. I mean,
I had so many pieces of paper with stuff in different orders, and it's
total
I
crime
hear you.
scene pin board thing.
Yeah.
Where you just
Yeah,
connected
absolutely.
dots. But yeah, I only had 13 shows to like get under my feet, to the point, and this is crazy because I did this when I started doing comedy again. I would go upstairs by myself in a room, and I would rehearse what I was saying. Of course, none of us do this anymore. But when you only have 13 shows, I ran my hour every night by myself in a room for maybe 2 weeks straight, where it's just like,
Wow.
That's awesome.
dude, stopping, being like, I know there's more to that joke. Like, I fumble. So it's like, if I can't get the stage time, I have to be an insane person again,
Well,
so.
that was my whole, I didn't do that, but I definitely didn't play the radio in my car
right.
for like a month leading up to it. Anytime
Yeah.
I got in my car, I went through my album in my head.
Yeah. You're
I was
just
like, I'm
thinking
gonna do
about
this joke, and then I'm gonna do that joke. Like it just completely, every piece of attention was dedicated towards that.
Yeah.
I love the idea of like a madman in his room just being like,
Yeah.
no,
I just
there's
see
another piece of
paper in
this joke.
there.
And just hearing glass shatter. It's like, like, leave me alone.
Hitting a trick shot over your shoulder, which we didn't get to touch that. I
Oh my
loved your
God, I
trick
forgot that
shots
was
during
you.
quarantine.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, man.
It was amazing.
Thanks, dude.
Seemed like a lifetime ago, right?
I know. Yeah. It's so wild.
How many days straight did you do that?
So I did 30 days, and I started it as a joke at day, I think it was 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And
I completely forgot about this.
And just like that, and then like it's like, oh, that's funny, like it's been so long in quarantine, 9 days, and it's like already an expert at this thing. And then I did it 3 times, and then people would comment, can't wait for tomorrow's, and I go, oh, I guess I gotta do one tomorrow.
You made one made Sports Center's like social media, right?
Sports, yeah, they made Sports Center and ESPN.
Yeah.
But like, and I didn't know this. So there's this company that got a hold of it, and they go, can we license this or whatever? And I go, sure. Yeah, why not? And so they got it on James Corden. So that was on there.
That's
so
amazing.
That's
Right,
You
so
got a
funny.
credit.
I love how all my credits have nothing to do with comedy.
Yeah, right.
Like you can use that because like I did get paid for it to be on TV and them to use it. So people are saying like, oh yeah, use it as a credit, but I'm like,
But I didn't do stand up. Yeah,
exactly. So it feels like so cheap. Like it doesn't matter
Right.
how I got on there. It's like it's not for the art form, but has that
I would
stopped
still
me
be
from
like,
promoting
why,
it?
why is
No.
that not on my post?
Right. Yeah. I'll throw it in sometimes if I'm trying to like
Get something going.
Right. Yeah.
That's smart. You got to use everything you got in your bag, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm in Mark's camp because I had this situation where like it was a page at Letterman, which is just like basically an intern, right? And I remember like always debating like, do I use that as a credit? But I'm not doing stand up there, and like I was in close contact with Eddie Brill all the time. I was like, if Eddie found out, he's gonna think I'm a fraud. And then a guy who's a very famous comic now was just using it without even any hesitation. And I was like, oh, they were probably right. I was like, me and my morals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Um,
Your pride, and you're just like, I know I feel like a fraud if I use it, but I'm
Right.
gonna, because there's no way I'm making it on there.
And so for those that don't know at home, what we're talking about specifically is you're doing trick basketball shots, but it was on a kid's.
What was the
playset,
longest you
correct?
spent trying to do one of them?
One that never made it, and I was trying to get over the house. For
okay.
day 30, I was trying to get it over the house, and I spent 3 days on my lunch break for a total an hour each day, and I was like, it just can't. Well, it got so close one time, and it was half of it was the ball doesn't have a weight to it, so I can't. Right, so I'm throwing it over
wind
like this.
or
It's just like, I mean, not that I can see the target I'm throwing. I kind of know where the goal is, but
right.
Yeah, man, that was fun.
Yeah.
What a parallel to the obsession of comedy, where we're just chasing that high. But
I know.
And you're just like, oh, so close.
Yeah, it's got to be perfect.
Yeah. Well, sorry. We can get back to the album. But we had to touch on that. Like that was amazing.
Yeah,
but
glad you brought it up. I completely forgot about it.
You were talking about like how the name came to be and how you did it and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I was starting to think of like as a madman, I'm just like rehearsing my stuff to nobody, and I'm just like, what am I going to call this thing? And a lot of it turned out to be like almost this confession of who I really am, like of just being like dumb and like I don't know, like I'm not a masculine dude, I'm not an alpha, and I'm not like, I have this bit on there about guns, and I'm like, I like guns, but they scare me.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, so I was just kind of like, I feel like I'm finally like being myself, and my real everyday life is like being somebody else now, which is weird. And so I have there's a small joke in there about using incognito mode on Google, and so I was like, oh, I'll call it incognito because I feel like this is who I really am, and my life is something else. So
awesome.
Yeah, so I just felt like it had a little bit like, because you always hear like comics like, what's the theme of this album, like what am I so I at least I had like a lot of bits that kind of talked about that. The album art is so kind of funny. There's a guy who does now. I'm in the sticker game, guys. I'm in the merch game.
Oh,
Yeah.
baby.
So, yeah.
That's my merch of choice as well,
Yeah.
sir. Like,
Well, I got the idea from you.
Right here.
Yeah, I got the idea from you. We were doing a show, and you're like, dude, do stickers, man. Do stickers are super easy.
Awesome.
And I go, dude, you're right. Like, I'm not gonna lug around a bunch of t-shirts, and also it feels like weird. Like, what am I gonna put on there? Is it a joke? Is it whatever? And so
shirts are fine, all right, guys. Shirts are fine.
Only if you have a retro suitcase to carry it around.
It doesn't matter if it takes you 6 years to sell 100 shirts. It's fine.
If you don't look at another comic at the end of the show, be like, what do I do with this now? Are you really selling merch?
Right. Get a sticker. It's nice and easy. You can put it in your pocket.
Got my little Tupperware case. I'm good.
Yeah. They're so easy to transport or whatever. But the reason I bring that up is because I was like, what am I going to do for the album art? And then this guy, so I have this YouTube channel, Hummy's VR Comedy, and
it's wildly successful, by the way, if you haven't checked it out.
Thanks. Yeah, it's kind of like my comedy career. It started off really hot, and then there's this long drawl of just like, what the hell?
They say you get that big bump, and then it takes so long to like double. Once you take, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it takes forever. So there's this one guy who follows me and like is a fan, and like I'm a fan of his too. He's an artist, and at Zombie Turtle Comics, you can find him on Instagram at Zombie Turtle Comics. Super talented guy, and he's in our Discord and our Patreon and all that stuff. So I talked to him, and we're cool. And he goes, "Hey man, if you want an album art, let me know." And I go, okay, cool. And time is by, and Jeremy, I talked to Jeremy, who was with the Helium Records, and I go, hey man, just by the way, when do I need to have this album cover? Because like it had been a while since we talked. And he goes, oh, you need it Friday. And I go, that's funny. What? And it was like Tuesday at the time. And I go, oh, that's funny. What? Seriously. And he's like, I need it by Friday. And I go,
Jesus,
fuck, dude. So I go, me and my brother, we take some shots. Like I have a decent camera. So I was like, I'll just take a couple shots. It'll be me. I'm looking kind of weird or something like that. And so we take a couple shots and I go, yeah, this will work. And we start putting it together and I go, it's just shit. Like it just looks so cheap. I don't know. So I hit him up and I go, hey man, super last minute. But if you want to make album art in 2 days, it's yours. And I have this one shitty option that I was like, I'll be okay with it, but I won't love it. And I go, the title of the album's going to be called Incognito. And that's all I said. And he sent back what's on there. And I go,
that's
wow.
amazing. That's fantastic.
Killer, dude.
Yeah.
Killer. To just be like, whoa. Like all I gave you was a title. And so he kind of had the theme. He's like, I'm thinking like an LA noir type of like vibe. And I was like, sure. Why not? So like I told him no hat though. I go, I know you're thinking about like a trench coat type of thing. So I was like, no hat. And so he sent the album back just the way it is. And I go, run it, do it. And so
perfect.
And if you want to use him for your stuff, I highly recommend. He's got such a cool, obviously the album's like really good, but like the stickers, I'll send him a sticker idea and that's it. Just like, this is what I want. Sends it back within like 2 days and he goes, how's this? I'm like, it's fucking perfect is how it is, dude. It's just like he nails it. He's such a good artist. So nice. At Zombie Turtle Comics. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome, man. Well, Mark, I could talk to you the rest of the night, man. This has gone so smooth. Yeah. But I appreciate you so much. Anything you want to plug before you get out of here? Obviously,
yeah, the album, just if you could check that out, Mark Brady Incognito. And if you want to check out our YouTube page too, Hummy's VR Comedy, where we play games and tell jokes, and that's the priority, is making them funny and not playing the game. So,
how much do you piss other people off playing the game?
So when we first started the channel, people were like, just play the game, because like everyone's used to this walkthrough. Like I came here for a walkthrough and I was like, that's not us, dude. We're
not your guy.
Like we're all about dicking around, creating a scene, and just like trying to do as many jokes as possible in there.
So they started picking up what you're putting down. That's good. Awesome.
Man.
Sweet. Mark, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, thanks,
it's been
Mark.
Fun.
Yeah. Check out Mark Brady everywhere you can. Check out Mr. Will Abeles everywhere you can. And I'm Drew Harrison at Laugh with Harrison on Instagram. But hit that subscribe button. We will see you next week.
Thank you guys.